Welcome to Education Insights. I'm Kevin Miller, the host, and Brenda Tenniswood, the superintendent of St. Clair County. RISA is with us. Good to see you again.
Nice to see you as well, Kevin.
A lot going on.
Yes.
Let's start budget-wise, because you and you know that I know that it's a tough thing to do, especially in the state of Michigan. And I don't know why the Constitution was set up this way, with the budget for schools and ISDs for July 1 and the state budget being in October, but you have a tough job in preparing a budget that has to be disseminated by the locals. So talk about the process you've gone through on that.
Yeah, and as you're well aware, this is the time of year where I'm out going to our locals presenting our RISA budget. And one of the things I've been saying is, I wish I could talk about anchors of certainty. Right now, there are so few. So yes, lots of uncertainty at the federal level. Lots of uncertainty at the state level, and although in the years past the state's been really good about having a budget available for us prior to July 1, this year that's highly unlikely, and I would say right now there's even less certainty than typically. Typically we have an idea. Her budget is out, the state is out, the House put out a very, I would argue, preliminary. There's not enough known, and so we're trying to budget very conservatively. At RISA, we do a great job of really leveraging resources, but now more than ever, that's really important. So on one hand, lots of uncertainty at the state level, but also at the federal level. And one of the things I think we're all just really getting our arms around now is potentially any cuts to Medicaid are going to have a significant impact on RISA's budget and then our local budgets as well. Right now, RISA flows through, we receive about $2 million in Medicaid funding annually. About $1.8 million of that flows out to our local districts. So if that money is lost, then how in the world, does RISA backfill that? Do our local districts backfill that? So trying to be very proactive, looking at leveraging resources, but also budgeting pretty conservatively for the coming school year.
You also then have to consider what your local superintendents and school boards are going through to look at a budget for July 1, because they're talking with you about things like Medicaid, but they're also uncertain of their student count, of what funding they're going to get from a federal level for special ed and things like that. So it's probably a job that you have to walk that fine line between your own budget, but looking at what the locals too.
Absolutely, and trying to advocate for the locals. The per pupil funding, we're hearing proposals that it's going to go up, slightly over $10,000. But the piece that's not getting talked about, there's still an unfunded liability on the pension side. That equates to about $250 to $300 per pupil. So really, I think our locals, if they're fortunate, are looking at a $100 per pupil increase, which does not come close to covering the increases in utilities, staffing, all of that. So yeah, definitely trying to advocate for our locals. Additionally, IDEA funding, that legislation was passed 50 years ago, and the federal government has never fully funded. Yeah. And as you know, fully fund means 40% of the cost, the additional cost required. We're at about 10% on a federal level, and that's looking likely that also is going to be cut. So yes, absolutely, trying to inform, help our local districts, but also really advocate with legislators in terms of the potential impact of any of these cuts on our budgets.
Having done these conversations with local school boards, and I know you're going to the school board meetings, what is their reaction to, did they ask for some advice of what's possibly going to happen down the road?
Yes, I think they're also trying to be very proactive and plan appropriately. They want to ensure that they've got thriving learning environments. 98% of most budgets typically is in staffing and personnel. Yep. So really trying to protect classroom environments, classroom teachers, social workers, all those essential services. So yes, boards are also trying to be really proactive in planning their budgets moving forward.
Let's move then into one of the departments that I know that you have done a lot in the last couple of years as far as looking forward, career and technical education. One of the things that we had always talked about was how important it would be for the local school districts to look at career and technical education opportunities, and now one has kind of happened in a partnership with Port Huron Schools. So talk a little bit about that program.
Oh, we are so excited about being able to expand CTE offerings in the county. And so yes, in close collaboration with the Okerhulis and Port Huron Area School District, we are opening a new public safety program this fall, and it is so beautifully located. It is going to be housed in a wing of Woodrow Wilson, which very nicely, is in close proximity to brand new fire stations. So this really is bringing together so many entities. It's a great collaboration with Port Huron Area School District, the City of Port Huron, local law enforcement agencies. So this is one of those initiatives that you really see the entire community coming around, which is so exciting. The goal, obviously, is to give our high school students another career path, another opportunity to find out and learn about careers, and also really engage in hands-on learning. So the way that the program itself is configured, year one is going to be an offering that focuses on a whole host of law and legal related issues. So students are going to learn about becoming a 911 dispatch operator. They're going to learn a little bit about law and what that might look like. They're going to learn about law enforcement, and there's even potential for some drone operation baked in with that first year. I can hardly wait to see that. And then year two is really, we're hoping to delve into fire safety. So Fire Safety 1 cert, Fire Safety 2 cert, and that design is intentionally set up that way because we know most of our seniors are not 18 or don't become 18 until their senior year. Yeah. And so in order to pass and take those certifications for Fire 1 and Fire 2, students have to be 18. So that is the intent. And I would say the enthusiasm for this program has been unmatched, both from the students in the area that are like, we want, because we've been surveying students, what would you like to see? That student voice is so critical. That's what we have to use to drive our programs. But the students have embraced it, but also our local law enforcement agency and fire agencies who've been struggling to find enough staff are really thrilled to partner with us. We've already received some really nice donations. Advisory committee people are, sign us up, we want to help. So it's really been a great testament both to the strength of our community, but also the collaboration between us and Port Huron Area School District.
A couple of follow-up questions. Number of students, morning and afternoon, set up the same way as you have done?
Yes,
Okay.
Great question. So yes, AM and PM, roughly around 20 students, and the program's full. We already have enough.
Wow.
Literally high interest.
From all districts?
All
or?
districts, and
Okay.
that is a really important
That was my
clarification.
other question.
Thanks for asking that, Kevin.
Yeah.
Yes. So the program, although it's housed in Port Huron, is open to all students. We essentially are going to be running a transfer bus. So students, like they do right now, will come from their local high schools to our tech campus on 499 Range Road. We'll then be running a bus from RISA to Woodrow. Because
One bus with all the students?
Yes.
Yeah.
We didn't want transportation to be a barrier for our students to be able to access this really awesome new program.
Very good. And then one other follow-up question. I know you're a huge proponent of getting kids out into the field. Will there be a field component of that program as well?
Yes, absolutely. And it was interesting. We had like a preliminary meeting, and many law enforcement agencies said, okay, sign us up, we're in. So yes, students will be out, obviously in situations and scenarios that are safe for them. But
Right.
yes, doing things, everything from like ride-alongs when appropriate to seeing some of the back end, what does it look like from an administrative level to be at a detention center to do some of the back end work. So yes, students will have hands-on experiences even year one.
Knowing you well, I know you've looked at the career component to this down the road. So some of the careers that might be forged by students getting this 2 years in, where could they go?
A whole host.
Okay.
Absolutely. Obviously, becoming a firefighter would be one. We know that students likely are going to need additional training and schooling to become a law enforcement officer, but that's one. 911 dispatch operator, which certainly is there a need in our community, but also in many communities in close vicinity. And students can actually earn a certification by going through our program. Something else we've talked about, we're not quite there yet, EMT. So right now, EMT is actually housed within our health careers program, but at some point we may also incorporate that within the public safety offering. So 911 operator, firefighter, law enforcement. Also, we know we have in the county some students who really want to get just a foundation in law. They are thinking maybe becoming an attorney. So this would also offer an opportunity for students to get some both content knowledge, but also hands-on experience by potentially doing work-based learning with an attorney in the area. So
especially if the first year is focused a lot on the law part of it, right?
Yep.
So I know you mentioned it's public safety, so police, fire, things like that. Does it dovetail into anything that SC4 already offers? I know you've probably looked at that component as well.
Yes, RISA is all about collaboration with other entities, something that you certainly really spearheaded as well when you were in this role. But yes, we've been engaging in conversations with Kurt Kramer and Pete Lacey at SE4 for this program, but also other programs. Our long-term goal is really to have essentially another articulation, another career path for all of our programs at Tech. So interestingly enough, Cosmetology, we're looking right now at kind of baking in then a business progression. So students who are interested in getting a cosmetology license, but then also potentially owning their own business, there's a natural pathway and a progression. But yes, we're looking at that with public safety as well.
I know. I just talked the other day. I was at a restaurant, and one of the students waiting on us was a former cosmetology student and was talking about owning her own business. So that matches kind of what you just said. One of the problems, a good problem that we always had at RISA was, you've got the walls there of the tech building there that you've got this amount of space. So how do you try to get programs either out in the second year, or how do you partner with local school districts or take them out to other places? So I know that you've focused on that a lot. And what's the future of that?
So we have a whole menu. You're exactly right. Like, we are landlocked, if you will. And so a couple of different mechanisms we're looking at. One is certainly increasing second-year work-based learning placements, and that has been evolving, and every year that increases. Right now, I think we have close to 300 students out in a second-year work-based learning, and that is a win-win for our students, and I would argue for our community. So our partners love having our students out. They're learning real hands-on work skills, but they're also then helping the whatever local business that they're placed with. So that's a win. We just for this fall also increased, or I would say revised, a program at AIS. Prior to this year, it was less than class size. So we had a small number of students essentially placed at AIS in Richmond, heavy equipment operators, but there was high demand. So in the fall, we are opening now an AM and a PM session, which will be, again, it's out at AIS. It allows us to expand CTE offerings in the community. We're also working with our local high schools to say, what programs are you currently operating? Are there any that you're interested in? Business is one that's commonly offered, business marketing, but there are others that with a few tweaks could be easily reconfigured or started at our local high schools. And then finally, we are trying to look at renovations potentially in our tech campus to see, is there a way to reconfigure, do some renovations? And I know you were looking at this several years ago to say, can we open up another program area at tech?
All this is good news for students, right? Because
Absolutely.
that's what you want to focus on. It was interesting to hear you say, talking to students, what is it you'd like? Where is it you'd like to go? And that's always been a big component of everything we should be about, right?
Absolutely. Student voice should be driving every decision that we make. And I will say one of my favorite things to do is to go over to tech, go over to Woodland and talk to the students. And if you go over to tech and you ask students about their experience, they will tell you. They are candid, they are forthright, they'll tell you what they learned, what they love, and they'll also give you some room for improvement too. So.
Of course they will. So CTE, let's talk about special ed.
Yes.
This will be a broad topic, I know, because especially with special ed funding being so uncertain from the federal level, but everything that RISA does to support the local school districts with special education.
It really runs the gamut. Something that we've just really started looking at recently in conjunction with our early childhood department is how do we ensure that our preschool programs are inclusive? In years past, there were support and services available for our youngest students, but oftentimes it was a separate program.
Right.
So how can we ensure that our preschools are inviting, inclusive, and that the support and services that our students need can be appropriately delivered within that setting? So we're really excited about that initiative. Also, unfortunately, and we knew this pre-COVID, we had a number of very young children who were becoming highly dysregulated in the county. And our local school districts were doing an amazing work. They were working with behavior teams. They were putting every tool at their disposal. But some of our children just needed more services. And so to that end, we just this year opened Creekside Learning Center, which is a specialized program for students who are highly dysregulated, emotionally impaired, that require an additional level of support and interventions. I think one of the things that we've been so intentional about is also thinking about, with the services that we're providing at the school, when they're ready to transition back to their local school, their local classroom, how can we help ensure that that's successful, that the students are ready, but also that the staff at the home building have the support and services they need to continue to seamlessly support that student. So it's a work in progress. This is year one, but we're already seeing some really nice improvements in student behavior with the students that we have at Creekside.
How many students are you servicing there?
Right now it's small. It's 5 students.
Okay.
But year one, we're happy with that. What it's allowed us to do is really work the system, see what levels of support our students are needing, and are there other areas that we're not yet addressing. We're really fortunate, again, speaking of collaboration, close collaboration with community mental health. We have a caseworker on the building, on site in the building, which provides support not only to our students, but also to our families, to the parents. As you might well imagine, for our parents, this is also a struggle. They have children that are really having high needs, and how can we help equip the parents with whatever they need to be more successful in supporting their own children?
It was interesting to hear you say, and I appreciate that it's more than just servicing them now. It's eventually trying to transition them back into what would be, I guess, a normal lifestyle, a normal school district setting. So I think that's always got to be the goal.
Absolutely, and we know we need to have really good collaboration and coordination with our local districts. So even as we were setting up the program, Dina Tuchek, our Director of Special Education, worked really closely with the local directors to even say, what should our criteria for entry be? What grade levels are appropriate? So right now, Creekside is kindergarten to 5th grade. There's a little bit of wiggle room. We're looking at doing more like a 1st to 6th grade. But again, that was predicated on conversation with our local school district and our local superintendents to say, what needs do you have? So a ton of really close collaboration with our local school districts.
With kindergarten through 5th grade, do we find that as they get older, do they kind of transition out of some of the behaviors? Do they get better as they get older?
Typically, yes. I would also say some of our local districts do have programs. I think in some instances it's a little bit easier to address the middle school and secondary levels, but you're spot on as well. As children become older, some of the regulation of behaviors becomes a little bit easier. So there is a progression where we see a lessening of behaviors for most children, not all. So that is one of the reasons why we went with the early L, or the elementary program.
All right, we'll come back on Education Insights with Brenda Tenniswood from St. Clair County RESA. We'll continue in a moment.
At Lake Huron Medical Center, our dedicated staff are committed to providing comprehensive care that meets your individual needs. We take time to listen to your concerns, understand your needs, and develop a customized treatment plan just for you. Trust in our expertise, experience our compassion, and let us be your partner in achieving optimal health. Visit us today and discover the Lake Huron difference.
Welcome back to Education Insights. Brenda Tenniswood, Superintendent of St. Clair County RESA, is with us, and we've talked about career and technical education and a lot of other components, but one thing that I know that you've been involved with from its very inception is the Middle School Innovation Academy. So what are you doing for middle school kids to kind of get them maybe prepared for the future?
This is really an interesting follow-up to CTE, because we know not all of our students necessarily go to tech, but all students should have an opportunity to become aware of what they're excited about, what they're good at, and make plans for the future. And so Middle School Innovation Academy is one of our Design for the Future initiatives that really envelops students into real-world, project-based, hands-on learning. So students, 7th graders from across the county, come to RESA, and it's one semester at a time, essentially, and they're engaged with a community partner. So in the past, we've worked really closely with Friends of the St. Clair River, City of Marysville. The challenge right now is Port Huron Museum. And so entities give the 7th graders a problem, and then the 7th graders have roughly 6 sessions to research, analyze, and come up with a solution to the problems. And then they present their solutions to the entity. And this has just been an amazing experience for everyone who's been involved. Our 7th graders are on fire. The way that they're able to research, problem solve, and come up with solutions is absolutely amazing. And then see them grow even over the course of a semester, from where they come in the first day and they're kind of uncertain about what this is all about, to the final when they're presenting with confidence, is really remarkable and a lot of fun to see this evolve over time.
Well, we've always talked about learning should have a component that involves real world experience, right? And the problem solving part of dealing with a real world problem from a business and helping to solve it.
Absolutely, and that student agency. So with Friends of the St. Clair River, we've done a couple of challenges with them. Rachel Vershave, who leads this group, took students with Melissa Kivel. They were out alongside the Riverwalk looking at native. They were talking about invasive species, and the students had to come up with a solution to combat those invasive species. So real world, student agency, research-based, so everything that we would hope instruction would encompass was built into that program.
What's the reaction from the companies? They're the organizations that you work with.
They are initially They are glad to be part of something for the community, but then I think they're blown away by what the students come up with every single time, hands down. I was in one of the presentations and the students had created a t-shirt. They had mocked up a t-shirt, and like everyone in the room was like, where's the t-shirt? We want to buy the t-shirt. But just like really, really touch. And I think in many instances have taken at least a component of the solution that the students have come up with and implemented them.
And I'm sure some of the reaction is, we had no idea that seventh graders are capable of this type of kind of experience to problem solve like that.
And I know you found this as a longtime educator. When we ask our students and we give them agency, it is always amazing what they come up with, regardless of how old they are. They have perspectives, they have solutions. We just really need to both teach them and engage them and ask them.
RISA, being a multifaceted organization, touches many parts of the educational process, and I know you, for years, with your role in the curriculum, both at a local district and then as the education services at RISA, looked at what are the opportunities we can do at the end of the school year, right? And I know that's still ongoing at RISA.
So a number of opportunities. One, so 8th grade tours, which we have done in close collaboration with SC4. And it's multifaceted and multi-purposed. One is certainly to give our 8th grade students in the county an opportunity to see that we have this great institution of learning in our own backyard. So that's one. But the other thing is to help 8th graders start thinking about, what are they interested in? What are the career options out there? What are the secondary pathways? So, and this day keeps iterating, and I think it keeps getting better and better. So yes, students come to SC4, but then they're also engaged in some hands-on activities while they're on the campus. And we've seen really nice feedback back from the 8th graders in terms of, again, what they really liked, where there might be room for continual improvement. But that's a great opportunity. And it's just one of many that we're trying to get up and running in the county.
And let's then go into the summertime. After the school year ends, I know that there are a number of opportunities for students to get some experience at Tech.
Yes, so we are so excited. This year we are reprising summer camps. Pre-COVID, we had been running summer camps for many years. And again, 2nd through 10th graders. This time we're doing them June 16th through the 27th. Multiple sessions, but the intent is to be hands-on. So everything from computer programming to design iteration, using a 3D printer, CADing, and then also like deliberately or intentionally embedding students within our tech program. So I believe there's going to be a cupcake war, maybe some construction of cornhole. So really helping students both have fun, it's summertime, be engaged in learning, experience hands-on learning, but also then start thinking about career interests and career pathways.
You've got this hidden gem, and boy, if I heard it once, I heard it 1,000 times, where we had no idea RISA was involved in that, right? So you've got a technical education center, or tech for short, that I would gather to think that most people don't know exactly what's happening inside those four walls there. So at some point, getting exposure to the students, whether it be scholarship or summertime programs or a tour of tech or whatever, but this opportunity that you're offering now for them to look not only at a fun time in the summer, but what could you go into, right? What program might it be? So I know you're involving kind of at least looking at some of those programs.
Absolutely, and it is truly a gem. And you are right. Whenever anyone tours the facility, they're always like, I didn't know this was here. And parents of students who have gone through the program just rave about the experiences their students have. One of the things that we've also been doing is trying to intersect with both community and entities, but also local school districts. So Yale, who's been really trying to be proactive in giving their students hands-on opportunities. Actually, we've had 2 PD sessions where they sent secondary teachers to tour tech and see what was there. But most recently, they are having elementary teachers come because, and I was an elementary teacher. When I was in the classroom in St. Clair County, I had no clue what was going on at Tech. But again, to make sure that everyone is aware of what those opportunities are, so both we can make real connections for kids now, but also that we can help our students see what options are available to them when they hit high school.
I was watching television the other day, and I think it was during a baseball game, but it was a company a high-level welding company nationally. That was, and at the very end of the commercial, it came on with what the starting welder salary were. And I know you won't be shocked to know that it were between $80,000 $90,000 to start. So you've got this hidden gem, as you talked about at Tech, with the number of programs that are in there that are all leading to really good jobs for kids if they even if they want to go to college, or if they don't, there's an opportunity with a hands-on type of learning.
Absolutely, and a significant portion of our students from Tech do go on to college. Yep. We have something called the Career Technical Middle College, which is up and running. Thank you. Which is a great opportunity. So for our Career Technical Middle College program, students essentially come to Tech, their 11th and 12th grade year, for half a year. And then their 13th year, they take a full day at SC4, and they can graduate with an associate's degree. So in that program, they graduate with an associate's degree, with industry certs, and a great career pathway. And that is at no cost or very little cost to parents and to students. So that is a win-win for everybody. But outside of the Career Technical Middle College, you're absolutely correct in terms of students who come to Tech, whether they exit us, they graduate us, and they go immediately into the workforce, or they go on to a 2-year or 4-year or just another credential, they really have a great pathway ahead of them. And we work, I think one of the things that really makes our Tech programs awesome, we work in close collaboration with local industry partners. There's advisory committees that meet twice a year. So members of the advisory come in. These are people that they're union representatives, they're business owners, they're people that work in the industry, and they give us feedback on our programs, and if they have students that are placed there, they give us feedback on how that's going. So what that enables us to do is to be really agile, respond to industry needs, and make sure that the programs that we have at Tech are producing the students that our industries in the area need.
Well, if nothing else, you're listening to the people in the field and integrating some of the things that they'd like to see from your program. Let's take construction trades, for instance. So what's really happening out in the world of construction? What skills do they need those young people to have, coming out of that program?
Absolutely. And we work both on technical skills, we work on career technical education skills, we also work on soft skills. Yeah. We know maybe more now than ever, and I'm guilty of this, have a cell phone. It's very easy to become glued to that phone, correct? So we teach things like how to have a handshake, which seems little, but you think about when you're making that first impression and how critical it is. So everything from how to write a resume to how to interview to how to present yourself well in a spoken and written manner. So all of those skills are baked into the Tech programs.
So RISA in general, and I touched on this a moment ago, they don't realize what Woodland is. They don't realize that you have a technical education center. RISA is this multifaceted animal that's there, and I would always go back to what the name means, right? Regional Education Service Agency. So if you were to try to kind of encapsulate what RISA is, maybe with that umbrella, what is it that it does for the community?
We are a community partner, first and foremost, and we take that mission to heart. So our mission essentially is partnering to inspire, inform, educate our community, and that's truly who we are. I think one of the most fantastic things about working at RISA are the people. If you intersect or interact with a RISA employee to a fault, they are all caring, committed, dedicated. They really want to make a better community in St. Clair County. So at the heart of it, that's what St. Clair County RISA is all about.
And you're working with children from birth.
To adulthood.
Yeah.
I know. Cradle to grave doesn't necessarily have the greatest connotation, so I like to say birth to adulthood. So everything from our early childhood programs to the programming that we do for adults in the community and everything in between. Pine River Nature Center. Many people are not aware that also is run by St. Clair County RISA. In the realm of early childhood, we've been trying to work with TriShare, which is a fantastic opportunity for employers to help support their employees with childcare costs. It's a 3-way grant split between the state of Michigan, the employee, and the employer. We know retaining talent is a critical need in St. Clair County. Childcare, also a critical need. So yes, St. Clair County really is a full service agency.
You're superintendent of RISA now into year 3. Loving your job?
I love my job. My predecessor did a fantastic job.
I loved my job too, but it's good. I can tell talking to you the passion that you have for the role, and that's important to me too. Is that you feel that as well? So
it is a fantastic organization. I will say right now, some of the budget concerns are looming out there, but at the end of the day, we remain committed to making a real difference in our community, and our community is so amazing. I get to intersect with people from every spectrum, it's an amazing position to have.
Yeah, I'm very proud to have done that, and I'm proud that you're feeling that way as well. So it's great to talk to you.
Likewise, always a pleasure,
Great
Kevin.
to find out all the things that are happening at RISA as well. Thank you, Brenda.
Thank you.
Okay, and that'll wrap up this edition of Education Insights. Thank you so much for joining.